Isn't that nice? So, any questions? Suggestions? So, okay. So, chapter 4, which we're supposed to be in, and supposed to be looking at the homework. So can you see that? Says 4, 5. Yay, nay?
Yes.
Okay. So that's homework out of the back of the book. So this is page 87 of your book. So these are some of the chapter exercises. So rather than just listening to me talk, we went through some of this, I believe, in class, but we can do a quick review if you like. And kind of go over this. I have a piece of paper and a camera here, I think. So if we look at 4, for example, so we are given activities A through H. I'll put in a start and an end. And we will also have the duration, which I'm assuming is in days, although it could be hours, minutes, seconds, months, years, who knows. IPA, what does IPA stand for? Besides India Pale Ale? Immediate predecessor activity. So that's the activity that comes immediately before. So according to this, what comes before A?
Start.
You know, start, or they're not showing anything. Same with beat. So ES is the early start. EF is the late or early finish. LS, late start. LF, late finish. And then we have the total float and the free float. I'm not going to worry about free float tonight, but we will look at the total float. So some of you have done this. I hope to start getting the homework back to you next week. Well, that's all part of the more email and other things. So if I think I could turn on the camera.
I have a question regarding the homework.
Yeah.
It's probably kind of a little too late to ask this question, but I was
Never
under
too
the
late.
sorry.
It's never too late.
Oh, I was under the impression that the homework was the quizzes, doing the readings, and the quizzes that were given out during class.
We have
Did
yeah.
I also include like the activities in the textbook, or?
Yeah, the exercises at the end of the chapter, those that you can do. Some of them are not practical for you to attempt. That's why if we looked at the homework from chapter 1, which I've done for you, and I'll send a copy of that out.
Okay.
But I think 12 and 13, or 13 and 14, I think it was 12 and 13, were optional because I did not think that it was practical, particularly in this day of social distancing and everything else, for you to get out and contact a project manager.
Okay, and then where are the homework assignments for the textbook? Because I didn't find them on the syllabus.
Yeah, I'll email those out.
Okay.
So I'm not quite caught up with everything. I have 5 classes I'm trying to convert from online to, or from class to online. And then we've had certainly stops and starts, and so less than ideal. However, we still need to move forward, so we will.
So you'll take late homework assignments?
Yes, there is
Okay.
no late homework assignments.
Okay.
So if we had a schedule, you would have some issues maybe, but for me, because of the way things are, there are no late homework assignments, other than if I need them before I can post grades. So the end of the semester is the timeline on that stuff.
How do we submit these homework assignments?
Probably at some point we'll be able to use Canvas, or you can just email them to me. Either one. So I've emailed all of you quite a few times, or not quite a few times, but several times at this point. So you can just click return and attach it and say, here's your stupid homework. Do something with it. So now we're going to do something else, I hope. I got to stop for a minute. I got to shrink this down. Share. And now you should see something that looks kind of like that. And you should see my big fat hand. Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So now we're going to go through. There's a little bit of a lag time. So we're going to go
Larry,
through
Larry.
that problem 4.
Larry, you need a manicure.
I need a manicure. I need a womanicure. Sorry.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's okay. So we're going to look at that problem 4 and we're going to try and go through it. What I normally do, though, is so we're going to be using, what in the heck is that? Get rid of that. So we got 2 symbols that we're going to use for these diagrams. I'll send you a copy of this in a PDF. That way you can keep it close by when you're working on the problems. So the upper one, the diamond, oh, somebody is writing all over my stuff. So somewhere I can clean that up, but I can't remember how. So, oh yeah. There we go. So, yeah, you can draw on the screen. So, upper one, the diamond, that's used for milestones. That's just the graphic convention that we're using here. So milestones are things like start or end, could be top out, could be something else. So very nice. So I've got 5 dogs, so I'm not bringing them in. So if you see the diamond, what that is a snapshot in time. It's not an activity. Below, That's the symbol they use in the book, although they're drawn a lot neater. So we got a box, either square or rectangle. Upper left-hand corner, you put the early start time. Upper right-hand corner, you put the early finish time. Activity goes in the box, duration goes in the box, lower left, late start, and late finish. So you can keep that by you when you're drawing these little diagrams. So the first thing we do when putting a schedule together, find something to write on. You want it, use Post-its. But, so for problem 4, we know that we're going to start with and we can turn it over, but we know we're going to have a start. So we have a couple of activities that look like they don't have a predecessor activity, so start would be them. Got you. It's a little cold in my room. So we would have A here, B here. The duration of A, what is that thing? Duration of A is 6. Duration of B is 2. So we're taking care of B. B, according to this, has a predecessor. Hello? So we're on page 7 of your book. This is exercise 4. So we're going to go through the example. So C has a predecessor of A. And has a duration of 8 days. Activity D, according to this, has predecessors of A and B. And has a duration of 5 days. So I don't know where it fits in all this. So you look at it, see if the logic looks okay. We may have to redraw this or move some of this stuff around. You okay?
Yes.
Follows A and B, so that looks okay. E follows B. E follows B and has a duration of 3 days. So F follows D and E according to this, or has D and E as the immediate predecessors. And it has a duration of 6 days. G follows C and D. And has a duration of 5 days. H follows F and G. That has a duration of 2 days. Fortunately, I have more paper. And I'm assuming at this point, we have okay, anybody have any questions on that? Or a particular beef with what you're saying? It's- Okay, do we have any disagreement? Does the dog have an opinion? So, anybody out there? Can you hear me? So,
We can hear you.
Yeah,
okay,
we can hear you.
all right, thank you. I need a little feedback, and then we should go through, do something else. So start would be 0. So as soon as we can start, A is day what? What's our early start for A?
He doesn't
Help,
say.
help me out here. You okay?
Yeah.
Are you
Would that be
sure?
1, Larry?
No, it should be 0.
Is it 0?
And the same for B. Right, start is
0
just
and
a
0.
snapshot in time. So once we start, it says here that there's nothing precedes A or B, so they would have start dates of 0. And if you remember our other picture, that one there, maybe. That's our early start, early finish. Early start plus the duration gives us the early finish. So first we do the forward pass. The purpose of the forward pass is to determine the early start, early finish, and total length of the project. So the earliest we can finish A is day what?
6.
6, thank you. Excellent. And for B, the earliest we can finish B is
2.
2.
2 and 4.
Yeah, so if we look at D, for example, says that A and B both have to be done. I can double check my little chart on page 87 and that looks correct.
0 and 2.
So here, along this path, it's 6 days. Along this path, it's 2 days. If they both need to be done before D starts, earliest I could start D would be
6.
6. Thank you. The earliest I can start E would be day
2.
2. Thank you. Earliest I could start C would be day
6.
6.
6.
I'm going to send you a copy of this too,
Okay.
whether you want it or not. And you probably don't. So, earliest we can finish activity C,
14,
Is 6 plus the duration? 14. The earliest we can finish D,
11.
11,
11.
11, thank you. The earliest we can finish E,
5,
5. So if we look at G along this path, the earliest we can start
14,
would be 14, and along this path, it would be
11,
11. So in order for them both to be done, the earliest we can start G is day
14,
14. Thank you. And the earliest we can finish G is
19,
19. I have a calculator here, but I can't use it. So again, if we look at F, again, if I look at my logic, F follows D and E. That looks correct. So the soonest we can start it along this path is
11,
11. And the soonest we can start it along this path is
5,
5.
5, excuse me. So the soonest we can start F, if both D and E have to be finished, is day 11.
11,
On the forward pass, we have 2 different dates feeding into it. To a follower, we have to put the bigger number. So the earliest we could finish F would be day
17,
17,
Thank you. And then again, if we look at H, if G and F, and again, checking our logic.
H is 19,
17 that way and 19 that way. So the earliest we could finish or start H would be
19,
19, thank you. And the earliest we could finish would be day
21,
21. So the earliest we could get to the end would be 21. So
21 days.
So we have done the forward pass. We have calculated the early start and the early finish for all of the activities. And we have determined the length of time it's going to take to get all of the activities done. So that looks like that's about right. So once we've done the forward pass, we do the backward pass. Yeah. I'm going to use a different color of ink, kind of. So here, whoops. That doesn't look like a different color. See if I can use a red pencil. So the latest we can finish H without pushing the project out is day what?
21,
21.
21.
So that's the latest we can finish H without making the project go longer. The latest we can start, the late start is equal to the late finish minus the duration. So this would be
19.
21 minus 2,
19,
19. So the latest we can finish F is day
19,
19. Thank you. The latest we can start activity F,
19
19
minus 6, 13.
13. Thank you. And on G, the latest we can finish G would be
19,
19. The latest we could start G would be day
14,
14. We can look at E. The latest we can finish E is day
13,
13. The latest we can start it would be day
10,
10, 13 minus 3. And so now D, we've got two different numbers feeding into this. So the latest we can finish D is going to be the smaller of 13 or 14, which would be
13.
13.
13,
The latest we can start D according to this would be 13 minus 5,
8,
8. Thank you. For C, the latest we can finish C is
14.
14,
14. Latest we can start, 14 minus 8,
6.
6. And so going back to B, along this path, the latest we can finish is 10. Along
10.
this path,
8,
the latest we can finish is 8. So we would put the smaller number in here, 8. And the latest we could start B is 8 minus 2,
6.
26.
26.
I'm close.
Okay. Now, A, the latest we could finish along this line is
6.
6. And along this line, the latest we could finish would be 8. So the smaller number goes in here. And that means the latest we could start A would be day 0.
0, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so we get back to 0, so that is good. We can identify the critical, well, we can do the floats first. So total float,
Oh,
what was that?
I dropped the book.
Oh, excellent.
I thought you spilled something.
So now total float is just equal to the late finish minus the early finish, or the late start minus the early start. So we can start at the beginning if you want. Total float for A is
0,
0, right? Late start, late finish, early finish, late start, early start. The difference is 0. If we look at B, the total float is
6,
6. If we look at C, the total float is
0,
0. This one here, I'm just going to put it above, but you know it goes below. Well, we can put total float in here, I guess. So for D,
2,
is
2,
2. Thank you. And for E,
8, 8,
8. For F, the total float is
0.
2,
2,
2.
G, 0.
And for G is 0. Thank you. Somebody's way ahead of me already. And for H, the total float is
0,
0. So what we're looking for is the normally the path with the least float or the path with 0 float is what is normally considered to be the critical path. And so in this particular case, it looks like and unless you do a few of these,
Yes, where? Okay.
So there is the critical path. And so we have calculated the early starts, the early finish, the late start, the late finish. Now, from a management standpoint, we want to tell people when we want them to start and finish. So on B, for example, could start on day 0, could start on day 6. We could move it. Normally, we don't like to go at the late start, because if we go at the day 6 and it takes an extra day, that will be on a critical path now, and it would take 22 days to finish the job. So normally you like to give yourself a bit of cushion, but you're going to schedule it, talk to your subs, and try and get it done at a time that is best for you, not necessarily best for them, or actually best for the project. So, and some of these, like I said, we've got the 2 days of float between a couple of them. So anyway, is there any questions on what we did?
I have a related question.
Okay,
On question or exercise number 12,
12.
on 12,
Okay.
critical path. How many critical paths can you have?
Well, you
I
can
think I
have,
have
you
3.
can have 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, let me see, 12. Okay, let me get out of here for a second.
Bye.
Go back here. Okay, can you see 12 now?
Yes.
Okay, this is the one you're talking about, right?
Yes.
And so I haven't run through this one, but we could have more than one critical path. And I'll take a look at it and try and figure that out.
There's a couple of exercises that have 2 critical paths.
Yeah, you could have 2, you could have 3, you could have 4. So the more critical paths you have, the more coordination that you have to do, but certainly you can have more than one. So all you're looking at is, those strings where if things take longer than what you thought, it's going to push things out. If you have some float, the ones with float, if you use up all the float, then they can become on the critical path. Once you've used up all the float for an activity, it is now on the critical path. And so that's something you have to watch as you're updating the schedule and moving forward. So, okay, I hear yawning. Are you guys getting tired? So what we need to do is, like I said, try and get a little enthusiasm for project management. And you'll all, how many of you are being stuck at home right now? Everybody?
Well,
I would assume
yeah,
so.
sort of.
Yeah, I think almost everybody, but I know I am. But, now's a good time to do a little bit of planning, look at your projects, get things done, get it out of the way. So that when we get over with all this stuff, we're farther ahead. So I will you have questions on these, let me know. I'll finish going through and doing the calculations, but I'll send out a copy of this. The session will be recorded, and maybe I'll stop that right now.
Larry,
Yes?
how do we access the recording for like a review?
Well, what I'm